Madison was born in Omaha, Nebraska, was raised in Alexandria, Louisiana. He's a graduate of the Military Police Academy and Northwest Louisiana University in Monroe, now ULM. I know about those name change universities. My degree says Memphis State University. That's still what I call my alma mater. Bobby is a Scout Executive CEO for Norwela Council, Boy Scout of America, has been a professional scout for 30 years. I'm proud to say that during my watch, Bobby was our first ever Cliff Dockerman Scouting Award. And he's also a Paul Harris Fellow. And Bobby was elected to the club director in 2014-2015. And with that, I'm going to turn over to Bobby.
Move pretty quickly. Good afternoon, everyone. Those of you, several people said, "Boy, you look a little odd today." And the reason for that is it's probably the first time in 10 years I wore a long tie. This is our national uniform for the Boy Scouts of America, so that's why I have a long tie. You probably won't see me in a long tie ever again. With that being said, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our council president. She is the first female president of our council in 90 years. She's currently a full-time job is president of the Shreveport-Bossier Business Alliance for Higher Education. Because of time, two quick things I want to tell you about Ms. Magner, or Dr. Magner. One, she has 2 Eagle Scout sons, and that's a great accomplishment. And Mom was right there all the way through. And the other thing, she's been involved with our council the last 4 years, serving as vice president of marketing. As you know, in her bio, she has a mass communication doctorate in mass communication. Also, those of you who know about Field Line, that's one of our premier camps out in New Mexico. She was on a track with one of her sons for 80 miles. She walked 80 miles in the mountains. So we're just excited for her and her leadership. If you would now come up, please welcome Ms. Magner.
Thank you, Bobby. You know, when I think about Boy Scouts, I have to go back 15 years to when my oldest son, Scott, came home from South Highlands Elementary School and said, "Mom, I want to join Cub Scouts." And I thought, well, that sounds lovely. I was certainly familiar with scouting and looked into our den leader, and great leader. And I said, okay, that sounds great. But Scott, how did you hear about Cub Scouts and why do you want to join? And he said, well, these men came to our class this week and said if we join Cub Scouts, we can shoot guns. And of course, I turned to my first grader, who was 5 at the time, and said, do you remember the names of these shoots? Of course, what Scott forgot to mention was that they said if you stay with scouting, when you turn this age, you get to shoot this gun, and this age, you get to shoot this gun. But of course, that was enough to get him hooked on scouting, was the opportunity to shoot a gun. But for Mom, the opportunity was character development. And I have loved everything that scouting has stood for all these many years. And the degree to which it has reinforced all of the values that I have wanted instilled in my boys as they have made their way through scouting. Both boys now are Eagle Scouts. One is at Tulane University, the other is about to finish at Magner High School, so they are no longer in troops. But somehow, Mom is still in scouting. Go figure. But I'm awfully glad to still be in scouting because I know how valuable the program is. And one of my goals this year as the first female president is to make sure that mothers throughout our community understand, mothers and fathers, understand how much scouting can do to help them raise good boys into great men and great leaders. This is an especially exciting year for the Norwela Council. We are celebrating our 90-year anniversary, as Bobby said, and we're calling it Celebrating 90 Years of Building Leaders One Scout at a Time. Boy, have we done a lot over 90 years. We've served more than 500,000 boys. Girls did some now too, but most of the boys throughout Northwest Louisiana. We have 3,500 Eagle Scouts, from Northwest Louisiana. One of the things I learned early on, as the boys and I and their dad all set that goal for them, was that Eagle Scout is one of those few accomplishments for a young man that no matter what else you do in life, it lives forever on your resume. And I know we actually have some Eagle Scouts in the room, so I'm going to ask, if you are an Eagle Scout, would you please stand? Once an Eagle Scout, always an Eagle Scout. Having been on the parenting end, I know how much work comes with that. If you're the parent of an Eagle Scout, will you please stand? There you go, Martha! And I'm willing to bet that every one of you in here, with very few exceptions, have either been a scout, had a parent who was a scout, or a child who was a scout. If that's the case, would you please stand? There we go. Scouts throughout Northwest Louisiana have done, and this is a real figure, guys. This isn't a typo. More than 5 million hours of community service over the last 9 years. And we've been benefiting such organizations as the Food Bank of Northwest Louisiana. I know Mark American can tell you Scouting for Food has just done huge, huge things to help the organization and their inventory. And also, of course, Goodwill Industries is another organization that Scouting has supported. At this time, we are really proud this year with Boy Scouts to have a very prestigious, well-known national president, Robert Gates, who was the United States Secretary of Defense. And at this time, if you will turn to the screen, we'd like to share a message from Secretary Gates.
I believe that today, as for the past 100 years, there is no finer program for preparing American boys for citizenship and leadership than the Boy Scouts of America. At a time when many American young people are turning into couch potatoes and too often much worse, Scouting continues to challenge boys and young men, preparing you for leadership. Scouting prepares you for leadership by helping you learn to meet challenges. Scouting continues still to thrust boys and young men into the wilderness to prove themselves, to learn some confidence and self-reliance, to learn about nature, about powers greater than yourselves, to learn about the power of the soul. It gives you a spirit of adventure and prepares you for life's challenges. Scouting prepares boys and young men for leadership by teaching you the importance of service to others. The Scouting movement shows dramatically that service, public service, still beckons the best among us to do battle with complacency, neglect, ignorance, and the emptiness of the spirit that are the common enemies of social peace and justice. Scouting prepares boys and young men to live lives based on unchanging values as an example of what a boy and a man can be and should be. I see the legacy of Scouting, a new generation of worthy leaders for America in the 21st century. Strong leaders, thanks to Scouting. Strong leaders of character, of faith, of skill. And with such leaders, America will continue to be the beacon of hope and decency and justice for the rest of the world. Good homes and good parents produce strong boys, but Scouting tempers the steel.
All right, over the last 90 years, we could not have done all that we have done without the 100,000 volunteers that we've had serving our youth here in Northwest Louisiana. Many of these volunteers are, in fact, here today, and they serve on the Norwela Council Board alongside me. If you're on the board, would you please, I know I'm going to keep embarrassing you fellows, but if you're on the Norwela Council Board, would you please stand? These gentlemen are continuing to district governor nominee for 2015-2016 and a very active scouter. He has in fact completed Wood Badge, and he's been to Jamboree 7 times. Oh, just 7. And would Jerry Wall please come forward and talk to us about the Cliff Document Report?
Standing up here in a slightly different role. But right now, I want to tell you that there are 60 fellowships that Rotaries has to allow Rotarians to share their interests. One of these range from antique automobiles to bicycling to wine appreciation to yachting. I'm the district representative for one of these, the International Fellowship of Scouting Rotarians. You may not know that since their inception, Rotary International has been a partner with Boy Scouts and Girl Guides in serving young people. As Rotary is spread around the world, its support for Scouting and Girl Guides also spread. Rotary founder Paul Harris was a recipient of Scouting's prestigious Silver Buffalo Award in 1934. Rotary International President Ron Burton is a life member of the International Federation of Scouting and Rotarians and has joined many other RI dignitaries over the years. As a statistic you might find interesting, Rotary clubs in the United States chartered over 1,400 scouting units, compact Boy Scout troops, venturing organizations, serving about 45,000 scouts. So we're definitely a Rotary linked to scouting. We at Rotary share a lot of the same ideas and values as scouting. Among them, a vision for a better world, honorable dealings with our fellow man, service to others. These are expressed in our international motto, service above self, and the four-way test parallels many of the things in the Scout Oath, the Scout Law, the Scout Motto, and the Scout Slogan. Character building, service to country, to others, to self, teaching leadership skills, becoming aware of the world around you, and the value of selfless service. Those are all part of Scouting. Those are all part of Rotary. So it's a very important thing that we're doing here in recognizing some of them. IFSR gives Rotary an opportunity to recognize past and present Scouters who further Scouting or Rotary ideals and build relationships on the local, national, or international level. First, we do this through recognizing young men and women who attain the highest rank as an Eagle or a Gold Award. Later, we do this through a special award for adults who blend Rotary and Scouting. It's called the Cliff Document Award. Cliff Document served as the president of RI during 1992-93. As world president of Rotary, he created the theme, Real Happiness is Helping Others. He earned the Eagle Scout Award in 1939, right before he reached his 14th birthday. He has been awarded the highest honors of the Boy Scouts of America, the Silver Beaver, the Silver Antelope, and the Distinguished Eagle Awards. In Cliff's name, the International Fellowship of Scouting Rotarians allows a club to recognize an exemplary Rotarian who is also a Scouter. And for that reason, I would like to call the Council President back up here, Dr.Johnette Magner, to announce your club's selection for the Cliff Document Award. Thank you.
All right, and the recipient of this year's Cliff Document Award is Merritt Chastain. As if you all don't know everything about Merritt, I'm still going to read it anyway. Merritt Chastain Jr. has served on the Norwela Council Board and Advisory Board for the last 40 years. He served as council president in 1977 through 1978, during which time we had significant growth in membership and finances. He was instrumental in recruiting key business leaders into Scouting. He was awarded the Silver Beaver Award in 1982, which is the highest honor that can be bestowed upon a volunteer by the local council. Most recently, Mr. Chastain has been involved with the Caddo Friends of Scouting campaign, where he recruited volunteers and raised over $10,000. His passion has been with the Endowment and Trust Committee. He is an active James E. West Fellow. And thanks to his involvement, We have grown our foundation fund from its beginning at just $32,000 to its current amount of $5.1 million. Ladies and gentlemen, please congratulate your friend and mine, Merritt Chastain.
That's the only ribbon you can wear on both the Scout uniform and the Rotary uniform.
Well, I'm overwhelmed by this award. I never dreamed that I would receive it. I've been involved in scouting for over 60 years. I started as a young boy, and when I finished law school, I became heavily involved in scouting again. In fact, I was involved in my first sustaining membership enrollment campaign the year before I even had a son. And I continued my involvement through the years. And the reason I continued my involvement is because, as I can see as a young boy and as I can see as an adult, as have been said by others from this podium, and I won't reiterate all what they said, but I feel that the Boy Scouts of America is the paramount organization for young boys to learn the qualities which they should have as adults throughout their life. And I found that the Boy Scouts who I know, and the ones who are still involved, and the ones who are not, who were Boy Scouts as youths, do have those qualities which Boy Scouts instill in them. So I'm delighted about that. And I'm also delighted about a couple other things that I'd like to say. I know we have a few other odds and ends to take care of at this podium. Of course, being an attorney, I love the podium, so but we talked about this a lot, Johnette did. This last summer, my son, Merritt Chastain III, who is a practicing attorney and a partner in a Houston law firm, took 2 weeks off from his work and went to Philmont Scout Ranch with his oldest son, Merritt IV, and they trekked through the wilderness for 2 weeks there, and it was a marvelous experience for both of them. And I thought it was quite a personal sacrifice of my son to take 2 weeks off from his work and didn't earn a penny while he was gone, had no communications, as a matter of fact, while he was there, but he did it for his son, which I thought was great. Now that son is Merritt IV, and I'm happy to say that in a few months, Merritt IV will be an Eagle Scout. And he's worked on that. He got involved in it in a similar way as John Answer. Wasn't about shooting, but he said he wanted to be a Boy Scout, and so his parents embraced that, and they supported him all the way through. And Virginia and I are just going to be the most excited and proud grandparents in a few months when we go to Houston and are present for his court of honor when he becomes an Eagle Scout. Thank you all for this award. I think it's fantastic. I'm overwhelmed by it, and I appreciate it so much. Thank you very much.
All right, we're running out of time, so I got the top 5 things you didn't know about scouting, as well as Norwela Council. First, many of you remember, if you're a little bit up in age, we had a camp out in Caddo Lake, and we also had a camp in Menden, which was Madison. We currently have a camp that was the name Garland. We've been there 40 years. We have a 100-year lease with Northwest Louisiana Episcopal Diocese. We own 320 acres, being Norwela Council. The last 10 years, we have invested $3.5 million through the capital campaign, sale of water, timber sales, as well as oil and gas royalties. On October 13th, we renamed the camp to the Kenzie Scout Reservation, named after our past president, Norm Kenzie, the first distinguished Eagle Scout of Louisiana. He also was a long-term board member and a benefactor to the council. We serve some 40 weekends, there are kids out at our camp. Garland is right on Mansfield Road with 71 as you pass through, and we're excited about that. Another thing you didn't know in the last 90 years, 90 years ago, it was about $25 to register to be a scout. I mean, 25 cents, I'm sorry. 25 cents. Today, it's $24 to register to be a scout. Also, uniforms were about $15 or less. And now a uniform is $125 today compared to 90 years ago. Some of you have asked me over the last year or so about our membership standards. As of today, and I'll just paraphrase, our membership standard, effective as of January 1, a youth sexual orientation is not an issue for the Boy Scouts any longer. Now, that doesn't mean we accept adults that maybe have a different sexual orientation than others. But at this point, if you're a scout, we don't have discussions in reference to your sexual orientation at all, starting as of January 1. 90 years ago, we had 50% of all the boys that were available involved in scouting. Today, we serve 6.3% of those boys. A lot of that changed because of athletics. A host of things have changed over time. But we serve 6.5 of about 53,000 boys and girls available for scouting. And finally, over that 90 years, this club has been critical to our success. Not only with leadership, but also monies. We can go back in our history all the way through. This Rotary Club has played a critical part of scouting. Not only building scout huts, they also support all 3 camps. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank the club for what you do and continue to do. And I'll take a few questions at the moment if we have a moment today. Any questions about scouting? You heard a lot so far. Can I answer or entertain any questions about scouting that maybe you might want to know? Yes?
Are you going to ever put a lake in at Garland or Kinsey?
You said a lake?
Are you going to put a lake in?
We have 3.
Oh, okay.
We just dredged them 2 years ago. Yeah, we have 3 pretty good sized lakes.
Bobby, how many scouts are there now in the Garland and the
We have about 3,500 scouts in the 9 parish area.
What is
Yes,
the
ma'am.
oldest that you can be to get your eagle?
18.
18.
Yes, ma'am. Any other questions? Thank y'all so much.